All right. Welcome everybody. My name is Benjamin Yu. I'm the Senior Vice President of Delta Single Five for this upcoming fall 2009 term. And tonight's a very special night. Tonight is our professional event. And we have a guest speaker with us tonight. His name is Ruel. Let's give it up for him. He's CEO and angel investor. He'll go ahead and go into more detail about himself. But tonight's event is titled Starting Your Own Business, so Sean's going to go ahead and take over from here. Sean.
So how's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Good, that's awesome. When anybody asks me that, I normally start off and tell them how fantastic I am and how excited I am to be here. And you know, realistically, Ben's given me a great opportunity to come talk to you guys. And he asked me not to come, so I'm not going to do my normal opening. So thank you guys all for being here tonight. We're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. I'm here really to answer all of your guys' questions. Anything you guys have about opening up a business, kind of getting your foot in the door, what you need to do, what types of personality traits and things that it really takes. What it really takes to get your foot in the door and start your own business or become an angel investor. A little bit about myself. I originally started, I came to college, you guys never believe this, I came to college as a genetic engineer, major in genetics and major in biological systems engineering. And I graduated 2 years ago with a degree in exercise biology, which was pretty much completely different. And I've done a little bit of everything. While I was here at Davis, I ran for Senate. I actually won a Senate seat here and decided I didn't want to do politics anymore. And I, took a look at genetics, I took a look at engineering. I thought I might want to go to med school. And what it came down to for me was I got a chance at an internship that I did to pay my way through college. So I paid my way after my freshman year through college, doing an internship with a company called College Works Painting. Over the course of the last 5 years, that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight, but over the course of the last 5 years, I've ran over $2.5 million worth of business with that company. I've taken the money that I've earned and not only paid for school, I have not a single student loan, but I've also invested in other businesses, in the stock market, and bought some private equity in different companies that has provided me the chance to start and run several of my own businesses also. So what I'm here to talk to you guys tonight is really how to make that happen for yourselves and what it takes to get you to that position. So just a little bit about, I guess, the other businesses that I run, I ran. I just dissolved a company called UrbanBouncers.com. We had a club here on campus. We sold over 100 units. The total profit from that was about $24,000. And I got out of that company because the people that I had found, the people that I'd been working with were friends that really didn't have the integrity to come through and do what they said they were going to do. So as I kind of grew out of that business, instead of finding other people, going out and finding and recruiting people to run the business for me, I just decided to dissolve that one. And now I'm currently working on a new venture which is called RateMyContractor.com. I've had the idea for about 3 years. To make a long story short, it's web-based lead generation for contractors. and we project in the first 2 years to be running over $1 million worth of total revenue. The company itself is projected to start this October 19th. It happens to be my mom's birthday, which is pretty cool. And I was actually also in a fraternity here on campus, and it happens to be my induction number into the house, which again, just kind of a lucky coincidence for me. I'm a little bit superstitious, as you guys probably find out, or have guessed by this point, and it's helped and hurt. So I really believe, in lady luck, and I love my mom, so we're gonna start it on her birthday, and I'm really excited for that. I just got back today. I was on my way back from Sacramento when I talked with Ben, told him I was gonna be a little bit late. Luckily I got here on time, although on time to me is late. Should always be about 15 minutes early to, 15, 20 minutes early, I think, to any event or appointment that you have upcoming. So we're gonna go ahead and launch on October 19th, and I'm just really excited about it. The angel investors that I spoke with today, we'll talk about the different types. There's angel, seed, and venture. So we'll talk about the 3 different types today. I got a couple angel investors. Out of the last 10 that I've gone and talked to, I've only secured 4 for a total of $65,000 in venture to get this company started up. So pretty exciting for me. I've had a wonderful day. I hope you guys all have too. And coming to this event tonight, you guys are lucky at being considered to be part of the fraternity. It's a great shot at networking, and that's what I found has been most helpful to me. All the angel investors and seed investors that I've ever worked with have all been either a friend of mine or a friend of a friend, and for the most part through the fraternity the fraternity and sorority social circles that I knew. So welcome to tonight's event. Hope you guys get something great out of it. Take something home. If I change just one of your, let me ask you guys a question. How many people in here want to own their own business at some point in the future? Go ahead and raise your hand. All right, so almost everybody. So you guys are in the right place, and that's fantastic. If I give one of you guys a great idea, if I give one of you guys an insight into how to get started, how to pursue that dream of yours, I've done a wonderful job talking here tonight. And I really firmly believe that. And if I can change, or if I can influence just one person every time I talk to a group, or sit down and do a meeting with the people that I work with, my employees, if I can change just one person, motivate just one person to do things do things a little bit differently, just change the way that they think or change the way that they feel on a particular aspect of a project or a particular aspect of their life, I've done them a great deed, and I feel good about myself when I do things like that. So I'm excited to talk with you guys here today. We will go on a lot of different tangents. As you guys have probably already realized, I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm very eccentric. You guys are going to learn a lot about me. One day a week, every week, I fast to teach myself discipline. Very unusual, right? So I'm very eccentric, and everybody kind of sometimes, sometimes I get along great with people. Sometimes they're just like, man, that guy is nuts. So you guys all form your own opinions, but I'm excited to be here, and we'll go ahead and get started. So before I start, let me ask everybody here: has anybody here formed a corporation, LLC? Has anybody had an idea for a business that they'd like to start? Raise your hand. Okay, so we have a couple guys here. I'm not going to ask you to share your ideas. Ideas are like gold. Some days I sit around and I'll go on a camping trip. I'll go on a retreat to plan my next move. I do a retreat twice a year, usually in December and June. And I sit back and I go on a camping trip, and I kind of just clear my mind of everything that's been bothering me, and I try to solve the things that are going on in my business or in my life. And sometimes I'll have 50 great ideas in 3 hours of doing it. Please silence your cell phones, guys. I appreciate that. And sometimes I have none. Sometimes I'll sit there and I can't seem to figure it out, or I can't seem to come up with a good solution. And usually at that point in time, I look for a mentor, a life coach, somebody to advise me on what they think is the proper course of action. And what I think a lot of you guys will find is that as you start to run your own business, having somebody else there that has a little bit more experience than you is one of the most important things that you can have in your life, having those networks and having those friends, because a lot of times you'll hear this, well, just figure it out. And Ben and I worked together a couple years ago, and a lot of times I told him, figure it out. I can't give you the answer, right? And really what that meant was that he needed to make his own decision. There's a lot of different ways that he could go, and making his own decision, whatever he chose to do, would be the right decision. Okay? And that's one of the most important things in getting your business started, is being able to make those decisions. So, with all that said, who should run their own business? Anybody?
I think I should.
Okay, why should you run your own business? What does it take to run your own business?
What does it take?
What does it take? What type of person?
Somebody very flexible, intelligent,
Okay.
ideas, very calm.
Okay. Calm, collected,
Yeah.
somebody who can make decisions.
Concise. Yeah.
Okay, what else? I think there's really three key traits, and you touched on one of them. There's really three key traits to kind of running and making that decision to start your own business. What do we have?
An idea, an ambition.
An idea. Okay, great. So an ambition is even more important. That's actually ambition, or, well, here it is. What it takes to run a business? The first one, motivation. The motivation to run a business. You have somebody has to light a fire under your butt. Somebody has to light a fire under your butt, and sometimes that might be somebody else. But who normally gets you motivated? How do you normally motivate yourself? I guess that. You want to go for that? How do you get motivated?
Personally,
Yeah.
just be optimistic, look on the bright side, and keep a little bit of working out.
Okay, so maybe you go to the gym, and that gives you a little bit of motivation, a little bit of excitement. What else? How do other people motivate themselves?
Meditate.
Meditate, great. I like to meditate. I try to meditate an hour a week. And that might be 3 20-minute sessions, or 4 15, or 6 10. But I try to meditate an hour a week every week, because that gives me well, what does meditation do for you?
Clarity.
Clarity? What do you think about when you meditate?
I think about rolling green hills with one tree and sitting under that tree. Clears my mind.
Okay,
And
awesome.
nice.
That helps you relax, right? I envision myself flying over the ocean. I'm a big ocean guy, right? So when I sit down to meditate to clear my mind, I envision myself kind of flying over the ocean, and just there's nothing for miles around. Has anybody been out on a sailboat or a boat, 20 miles out to sea? Okay, a couple people. What do you see out there?
Waves, whitecaps, your own bile coming out.
Yeah, maybe some dolphins, right? But is there anybody else around you?
No.
No. And what does that allow you to think about? What does that give you the chance to do? When he's sitting underneath that tree by himself, what does he have a chance to do? Anybody? What do you do? Think, right? What do you think about? You reflect, right? You think about yourself, and you think about the things that you've done in your life and where you're headed. It gives you a chance to really see, to really vision where you're headed in life and where you want to be. Because if you don't know where you're going, who's going to come with you? Right? So different people do it in different ways. Some people like to go to the gym and, get on elliptical or, run 5 miles on the track or just go out and run. That's a form of meditation. They get to think, they get to self-reflect on the things that they've done in their life, the things that they've done today, and where they want to go, where they see themselves in the future. Okay, so motivation is probably one of the most important things. Sometimes that motivation comes from yourself, sometimes it comes from others. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're starting your own business, who's the most important motivator in your life? You. If you don't do it, nobody else will. And I can tell you this from experience. If I didn't set my meetings, I'll tell you about 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, I was doing interviews. I was doing interviews to find, interns to come work and rate my contractor and give them a chance to run a certain aspect, marketing or operations, doing inventory for us, whatever it was at the time that I had. I was doing interviews. And I really wasn't thinking about recruiting at this point, I was just kind of doing hiring. We'll talk about the difference between those two things in a little bit. And I was sitting across and doing these interviews, finally found a couple people that I think had the right attitude. Felt like they had the right motivation. It seemed to me like they were internally motivated. And I've been doing interviews for a few years, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it. So I went ahead and I called them back 2 days after I'd finished all my interviews. And I called them back and I said, hey, I'd love to give you a chance, Chris. Come on up. Come sit down and we're going to do our first meeting. And he showed up to our first meeting, not dressed properly. And I was like, all right, well, he doesn't need to adhere to the attire right away, no big deal. And this is about building a culture, and we'll talk about that also. And I was talking, so I get him into the first day, and I'm talking to him, and I give him a whole bunch of assignments, right? And he goes, okay, great, I'm gonna get those done. I let him assign himself, what I think is a reasonable amount of time to get them done. And I leave. And I said, okay, great, these are your assignments. I trained him on how to do the things I needed him to do, and I left because I had appointments to sit down with investors. So I leave and I come back, and he's still sitting in front of his computer. He hasn't done anything. He's been playing on the internet for the last 3 hours. I come back and I'm totally flabbergasted at the guy. I'm like, why didn't you do this? I thought, you said you were going to do this. This was a reasonable amount of time to get it done, and I'm upset and I'm angry. I try not to do meetings when I'm angry because I always tend to say the wrong thing. I'm very upfront. I'm very in your face when I get upset about things. And I was so upset with him, and I was like, I'm gonna give you 2 more hours. Like, go ahead, And I walked away, let myself calm down. But 2 hours go by, and I come back to talk to him, and it still hasn't been done. And at this point, I wasn't even gonna work with him. So I went ahead and just said, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. You can go ahead and pack your stuff up and go home. We'll pay you for the hours you work. So I sent him home that day. And what it really came down to is he wasn't motivated. I gave him concrete things to do, not abstract ideas. Concrete things to do, and he wasn't self-motivated enough to get them done. Now, it doesn't matter if you're gonna run your own business or work in a corporation and climb the corporate ladder. If you don't have that self-motivation, if you can't light that fire under your own butt, you're not going anywhere. Period. So motivation is the #1 thing, and motivation in terms of abstract ideas is the #1 thing that somebody needs to have before they consider running their own business. So what else? What else do you need to have before you go ahead and you decide to start your own business? I call it MAP. So you guys have a little bit of a hint here. Motivation's the first one.
Attitude.
Attitude. Awesome. What's your name? Tell. So why is attitude important, Tell?
Kind of contagious. If your attitude's poor, it's gonna reflect on others, and everybody else will pick up the poor attitude. If you're upbeat and eccentric, everybody else is gonna follow your lead.
Absolutely. So attitude is the second most important thing. And you said some good stuff there. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quote. Now, I'm a big quote guy. If you guys come to my office, I have quotes written on the walls everywhere. And literally everybody that's helping me start this business, it has a desk in my office, which is in my garage, and I built it myself. We turned my garage into an office. Everybody that's working with me has their own wall, and they can do whatever they want with that wall. So everybody's been coming in with, oh, I got this great quote, writing it on the wall, and then one of my guys is a graphic design artist, so he designed his whole wall with all these quotes intermingled with a complete mural that he did. It's just the coolest thing. If you guys, anybody, gets a chance to talk to me and come over and see this, it's the coolest thing ever. But this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from Tony Robbins. Anybody know who Tony Robbins is? Yeah, we got a couple guys. Who's Tony Robbins?
He's the guy who teaches how to work
Huh?
out. Oh, the motivational speaker.
Yeah, he's a motivational speaker. He's one of the most renowned motivational speakers. He has several books that he's written on motivating yourself. I have a book of his. It's like 1,001 Ways to Motivate Yourself. Now, I don't personally need motivation, but sometimes I look there to find ways to motivate others, because that's another really important thing that we're going to get to. But here, the quote is, life is constantly testing us for our level of commitment, and life's greatest rewards are reserved for those who demonstrate a never-ending commitment to act until they achieve. This level of resolve can move mountains, but it must be constant and consistent. As simplistic as this may sound, it's still the common denominator between those who live their dreams and those who live in regret. This is important to me because I once wrote on, I know you guys are probably laughing, Facebook. I love throwing up quotes for everybody to read. And anybody who wants to add me, feel free to add me, Sean Ruel, on Facebook. One of the most important things, I wrote up there one day, I said, I don't dream anymore. Because every day I wake up and I choose to live my dream. And that's really important to me, because we all have choice. When we wake up in the morning, we have the choice to be happy. We can wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to get to work, or we can wake up and say, I'm going to sleep for 30 more minutes. We all have free will. We all have the choice to choose where we want to go with our lives. And the people that wake up and choose to run a business and choose to pursue their dream, for me that's running a business, those are the people that will act until they achieve it. And you will move mountains. I have moved mountains. I never thought that at 23 years old, I would have run my first business and made 25 grand, completely on my own. Now, I didn't actually make 25 grand. I had to split that with my business partner. Okay, but point being that I never thought that I could do it until I did. Until I woke up one morning and just said, you know what? Everybody that's telling me that I just need to go work, at some corporation and sit at a desk and work for somebody else, my dad, was wrong. And that's the craziest thing, is that some people give you great advice, right? But it's the one thing that's always given and taken, but rarely ever used, is advice. Because I've been given a lot of great advice that I completely ignored. And some people might say that, hey, your dad's advice was, good. I mean, you made 12 grand in the year that you ran that business, but you could have been working for somebody else and made, 3 times that, 4 times that. You know what? That's not me, though. That's not my dream. That's not where I want to be when I'm 40. So every day I wake up and I choose to go after my dream, and my ultimate dream is to be 40 and be a venture capitalist, complete. Not a CEO anymore. I want to be a venture capitalist. And venture capitalist is anybody that has over $1 million to give to a startup company like Richard Branson and Genentech. right? He struck it big with that. But you might invest in 10 companies that don't do anything, so you lose 10 million to make that one company that does 50, that gives you 50 million in equity, or 100 million in equity. And that's my ultimate dream, is to be able to do that and help other people and coach, because venture capitalists tend to work in the businesses that they give money to. They tend to coach the people that they give money to run those businesses. So, second one's attitude. I also have under there success. So, that quote from Tony Robbins, that's my success. That one quote right there has taken me, took me through my first couple years. Because I posted it up on my wall, and every day I read it, and every day I woke up and I kept pursuing, I kept driving to go after that one dream of mine. Second thing I want to talk about briefly is The Secret. Now, has anybody seen or read The Secret? All right, so Jeremy, we have one person that's read it. Anybody that hasn't, go get a copy of it. I in particular bought the movie because I didn't want to read it. And the movie was so boring that I turned it off after I got the point. So don't get the movie, but get the book because I'm sure it's probably a lot better. The Secret is literally the law of attraction. If you believe it'll happen, and every day you wake up and tell yourself it's going to happen, it will. I've done sales for 4 years, 5 years now, and that was with College Works. And every day, if I woke up and I went in saying, I'm gonna get this one, I got it. But if I woke up and I was like, I'm not having a good day today, this is gonna suck, I went in there and I blew it. I said the wrong thing somewhere, and the client didn't believe that I had the motivation or that I had what it took to do the right job for them. So I firmly believe in The Secret. And at the end of this, I'll give you guys a suggested reading list. I don't know, how many people in here like to read? Now, I'm not talking about your books for class. I'm talking about if you like to read for yourself. Fiction, nonfiction documentaries, or self-help books, anything like that. Raise your hand. Keep it up high. Awesome. You guys are smart. You guys are extremely intelligent. Because once you're done with school, I don't have anybody teaching me. Let me say that again. I don't have anybody teaching me. If I don't go read a book, if I don't go buy a book, sit down and spend the time to read it, take notes on it, and apply the things that I read, I'm not going to learn anything. Once, when you get older, and I'm not that old yet, don't get me wrong, I'm only 25, right? But when you get older, and let's say you lose all your money, you lose your house, your wife or husband, your family, everything. When everything's gone, guess what you still have? You have your reserve of knowledge. You have everything that you've learned throughout your life, and if you ever stop learning, you're lost. That's probably one of the most important things. Anybody have pen and paper, write that down. If you ever stop learning, you're lost. Because people aren't going to stick their hands out to help you, to teach you things. You have to actively search for it, and you have to better yourself once you get out of school. Some of you guys may go to grad school. I chose not to. Because personally, I can't stand having somebody else teach me. And that's maybe a personality flaw of mine. Because if I don't like the teacher, or if I didn't like the teacher, because I'm not in school anymore, but if I didn't like the teacher, I didn't perform. And that might be an attitude problem, personality flaw of my own, and I realized it. So I made it my agenda to teach myself and to learn for myself. So the last year and a half of school, I don't think I attended a single class. I took out the book and I read. And I took notes on what I read, and I came into class, And I did fine. Last year and a half of school, 2 years of school, I had the best grades of my life. Because I didn't let the person in the front of the room teaching me influence my ability to do well. And a lot of you guys probably already do that. So I had that trait and I found a way to overcome it. I figured it out. You guys are gonna hear that a lot. Figure it out. I figured it out. So one more. So we have motivation, we have attitude. What's the last one? And actually, now that I think about it, I might want to change it, but we'll go with this one because it's one I've been using. Personality. And actually, I was thinking about changing it to character. What do you think, I'll ask you guys a question, I want somebody to answer, is what do you think the difference between personality and character is? You know I'm spending a lot of time on this. I have a limit on this? We'll get through it, I'll blow through the rest of this stuff. So what's the difference between personality and character?
Character is like who you are when no one's watching, and like personality is how you are in front of people, I guess.
Absolutely, right? So character is the underlying motivation behind your personality. And you said it very well. Character is what you do when nobody's watching. Character, why do you think I want to change personality to character on here? Why? Why is it more important?
That's who you're always
Okay.
with.
Okay, yeah, so you can actually, I was just reading a study today in a magazine called The Brain. And there's a study that the Dalai Lama, he came into a research center, I think it was Johns Hopkins. They hooked him up with a bunch of electrodes, and they actually proved, the point of this, I'm going to make it short, the point of this is they actually proved that meditation and making the effort to change your mind is called mindfulness, and it's really what it is that the mind can control your ability to change the way you think. And the study that they did, how they proved this, was on people with OCD that were taught that and showed on a functional magnetic resonance image, fMRI, that it was their brain that was actually having misfires, and that's what caused them to, wash their hands 6 times every time they wash their hands, or open and shut a door 5 times, right? OCD behavior, obsessive compulsive behavior. So they were shown this and proved that they had this condition. And once they were proved that they had this condition, they changed the way they thought. They changed their mind. Okay? They changed their mind so that every time they went to go do that, they said, you know what? This is just a misfiring in my brain, and I can control it. The study itself had a 95% success rate, compared with a 60% success rate with drugs, and a 70% success rate with desensitization. Crazy, huh? The mind can control these things. The mind and your character or personality will drive you to be successful. And I have 2 things under here. I believe the 2 most important characteristics a person can have in running their own business is determination and a competitive edge. When you go out to start your first business, how many people are going to tell you it's never going to work? A lot, right? How many people are going to, tell you that, somebody else is already doing it? A lot, right? There's always somebody else that has the same idea. But what does that matter? If you're determined to do it better, and you have that competitive edge, that you will not be outdone, you will be successful. That will ensure your success. And I'd like to change it to character, so anybody taking notes, go ahead and write down character instead, because I think that's more important. Character is your intent. Anybody have any questions on that? So a couple other important traits. Go through this a little bit faster. Management. So why do you think that I put down management under here? In two different types of management. Raise your hand. Anybody else? Management. Why is management important if you want to run your own business?
You have to have control.
What's your name?
Yeah, Barbara.
Barbara. So what did you say, Barbara?
You have to have control of like that, like time and the people that are gonna work for you.
Yeah. So you need to be able to manage not only your time, but you need to be able to manage other people's time. How many people in here have a way to that they manage their time currently? Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay. How many people don't think they manage their time well enough right now? Go raise your hand. That's probably a better question. All the way up. Put them up. Okay, because you know what? I'm still struggling with it. All right? I've been doing this for 5 years now. I've been doing this since I was 20, since my dad cut me off because I had a brother and sister that needed to go to school. I've been trying to learn how to manage my time. I even make my own schedules. I'm going to show you guys my schedule. So I make these on Excel. All right? And as you guys can tell, I've only done till Tuesday, which means that tonight I got to go home after this meeting and I got to plan out tomorrow, which is terrible to me. Okay? This is horrid. I hate the fact that this isn't filled out. Because I was, several months ago, before I quit my job with College Works, I was a vice president. I owned part of the franchise, and I made 10% of the entire division. Division did about $2 million a year. Okay? I was perfect with this. Every Sunday night, I would stop myself to sit down for 2 hours and plan out my entire week. Once every quarter, I would plan out 3 months. Once a year, I would try to plan out my year. Now, as you guys can see for me, some of the things that are most important are going to be my day-to-day. I don't know if anybody can see this. I can pass this around if anybody wants to look at it. But I have literature in progress, so items I'm reading, what I'm learning. All right? I have action items with due dates. And then I have reminders for the week. Okay? After that, things that are important to me are fitness and nutrition. I will not be a 40-year-old, 400-pound man. All right? I will not do it, no matter what. So I track what I eat daily, because if I didn't, I'd put on weight. That's just my body type, I put on weight. I used to play football. I used to eat 9,000 calories a day. So when I don't track it, when I don't follow what I'm doing, when I'm not organized enough to write down, to spend 30 seconds a day writing down what I ate all day and how many calories I consume, I'll just eat everything. I'll eat a whole pizza if you give me a chance to, right? And it's crazy because this type of system is what it takes to run a business. You have to be on top of not only yourself, but the people around you. Why is that so important? Why is it important to be able to manage yourself and the things that you do first? Jeremy.
Because you can never get back time.
Okay? Yeah, time is the one thing that we can't get back, right? What else?
You have to set the example.
Huge. If you don't set the example, if you're not doing it right, if I'm not doing it right, can I tell you to do it? No. Are you gonna, will you do it if I tell you to do it? Or are you going to call me idiot? Right? Go ahead. Would you do it?
Depends on what it is.
Okay. If you were unsure, and you were not really sure how to do it because somebody just told you to figure it out, if I'd never done it before, would you try it?
Probably not.
Okay. If I didn't jump off the cliff first because I checked out that there was nothing underneath the water below and that it was safe to do it, would you want to jump off that cliff? That's starting a business. That's being a leader. Okay? Is knowing that if you jump, it's safe. Because you're gonna land in the water and there's nothing underneath the water that's gonna hurt you. Being a leader and having other people follow you especially to run a business when you don't know how you're gonna pay somebody next week. That is how to be a leader. You have to do it first, and you have to hold yourself to that commitment. You have to resolve to move the mountain without anybody else first. That's why I fast 1 day a week. Because it reminds me of that discipline. If I don't have that discipline, nobody in my business will. Organization. So this kind of goes right along with it. What's the most important part about being organized? I obviously put integrity up there. What's the most important part about being organized? Come on, somebody.
Not leaving anything out or forgetting important things that you need.
Right, absolutely. What was your name?
Jessica?
Jessica. Absolutely right, Jessica. Because if you're not organized and you forget something, what does that do?
Proves that you're irresponsible.
Okay, so you're irresponsible, right? How many people in here want to be called irresponsible? How many people in here want to be called selfish? No one, right? Think somebody's going to work for somebody that's irresponsible or selfish? No. And here's why, right? I'm gonna give you guys something to do. Tomorrow, one of your friends, and you can tell them afterwards that I told you to do this. When somebody does something you think is irresponsible or selfish motivation, I want you to call them that. Okay? Literally go, A, tell, that was the most selfish thing I've seen you do all week. Wait for their response. You will either A, piss them off, or B, embarrass them so much that they're going to be upset with you. And that's why I say after you do it, tell them that I told you to do it. Because if you don't, you might lose that friendship. People don't want to be called irresponsible or selfish. Right? These are moral, these are character traits that we believe to be wrong. And what it does, and I was told that I only have like 15 more minutes. So what it does is it moves things. I'll draw this. So has anybody in here read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Yeah? One? Okay, awesome. Great book, right? Very boring read, but a great book overall, right? Okay. So I'm just going to do the main two. We're just going to call this quadrant 1, call this quadrant 2, and it's urgent and not urgent and important and not, or I'm sorry, backwards. These need to go over here, so just go important, urgent, and not. Okay. So when this is the quadrant, and anybody reads the book, you guys will see it. That's actually on the reading list I'll give you guys at the end of the day. Not urgent but important is where the most successful people live their life. Okay? So what does that mean? Urgent and not important means that you're doing things ahead of time. Right? So you have something due, you have a test for you guys, right? You have a test 3 weeks from now. If you study an hour a day for the next 3 weeks, are you going to do well on that test? Right. If you wait, if you forget that you have that test, okay, and 2 days before you go, holy moly, I gotta study for that test, what happens to it? Right, it moves. It goes over here. So now all you're doing for 2 days is focus on that test. And what happens to everything else in your life? Right, so everything that was in one of these other quadrants goes up to here, and then all of that stuff, when you finish that test, the day you finish that test, let's say you go out and you decide to party that night, and you forget about something else, right? So now that moves in here. And then the next day you realize, oh wait, I have this, and that moves in here, and then this moves in here. And all of a sudden, everything becomes urgent and important, and you're constantly stressed. You constantly feel like you're never catching up. And one of the most stressful things in life is moving, and I just moved a month ago. And I'm trying to run this business, and everything in my life for 2 weeks after I moved, because all I did for like a week and a half, like 10 days, was move. So everything that was not urgent, all the appointments and all the other stuff that I've been putting off, all of a sudden it became super urgent, and the last 3 weeks of my life have been crazy. I've worked easily 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. So if anybody can do math, that's 96 hours a week. Like a freaking investment banker here. Okay?